In this lesson, I'm going to go over a couple of vocab terms about arc angles, such as the central angle that you can see here, as well as what is a circular arc or an arc on the circle. All right, I'll start with the central angle here. So central angle of a circle is an angle that is formed by two radii and has a vertex at the center of the circle. So I gave a little example over here. If you look at this circle, I have 2 points that are on the outside of the circle, D and V, and then I have A is the center of the circle. So you can notice the two radii, AD and AV, and so that angle DAV, is called a central angle. For the circular arc, all right, so we've got a little bit more info with the circular arc, and I'm going to use the T, the U, the V, and the S in class to kind of go over some different arcs that you will see. So it is a portion of the circle that is between two radii. So like, for example, if I wanted to say arc VU, right, you could highlight that for you, would be this part of the circle, okay? And the measure of a circular arc is the measure of its central angle. So if I said that this was equal to let's say, it looks like it's obtuse, so I'll say 104 degrees, then this central angle of VSU would also be 104 degrees. And then just a couple of notation issues. If you have a minor arc, we only have 2 letters we use to name it. So you'll notice V and U is a minor arc, or arc VU is minor. And a major arc, we use 3 letters to name it. Okay, let's do some practice problems. The bulk of this is just going to be practicing. So number 1 says, name the arc made by the given angle. So I have angle FQE, so FQE, and that arc is F to E. So I'm going to say my answer here is arc FE. All right, let's do the next one. Name the central angle of the given arc. So now they're giving us the arcs. We're going to go backwards. So the arc is ML. Let me actually go the direct, there we go, ML. And so the angle that is created would be, do a little smaller here, would be MQL. So I'm going to write angle MQL. Okay, those are kind of just making sure we know the basics of naming them. All right, let's go to number 3. Given the arc, name the central angle it makes. So this is arc RS. So there's arc RS, and the angle that it makes would be RQS. So I'm going to write angle RQS. Okay. Given the central angle, name the arc it makes. So now we're going backwards. Our angle is K, Q, and L, and the arc that makes is going to be KL. So I'm going to write KL and put the arc symbol. All right, let's do some work with some numbers, some unknowns here. All right, find the measure of the arc indicated, so arc CFD. Assume that a line that looks like a diameter is a diameter. So I do notice like BE or segment CF, those look like diameters. So I will assume that they are. So let me just highlight what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, make sure you go in the order here, CFD. I'm looking for all of that. Now we actually do know some of this already, right? We do know that if angle B and then going to the center of the circle to F is 135 degrees, then this arc BF is 135 degrees. And if I know that E and then to the middle angle or a point and then to D is 81 degrees, then the arc ED is 81 degrees. So if I can figure out what this is and what this is, I should be able to figure out what the measure of arc CFD is equal to. So it did say that if something looks like a diameter, to treat it as such. So what I notice is if I highlight, I'll use a different color here. If I highlight this diameter EB, right, that is a line, right? And we know that the measure of the angle for a line is 180 degrees. So I know that 135 plus this number here should be equal to 180 degrees. So 135 plus that I don't know should be equal to 180. So that's going to be equal to 45 degrees. So this in here is 45 degrees. So arc FE is also 45 degrees. All right. Now you should notice, I know I'm got a lot going on with these colors, but if you do notice that this angle, F to the center to E, and then B to the center to C, those are vertical angles, which are always the same. So that's also going to be 45 degrees. And now I have everything I need to find the measure of arc CFD. So the measure of arc CFD is going to be equal to 45 degrees plus 135 degrees plus 45 degrees plus 81 degrees. Okay? All right. I'm going to type that into a calculator, even though I probably could do it in my head, but just to go quicker with the video. So I've got 45 plus 135 plus 45 plus 81. So 306 degrees is what I have for that answer. All right, and just so before we move on, I know we didn't find it, but if I highlight the rest of that circle, arc DC, right, you should know that that is going to be 54 degrees because all the way around the circle is 360 degrees. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We'll use that other times. Okay, number 6. Find the measure of the angle indicated. Again, if it looks like a diameter, it is. So I don't see any diameters on this one or anything that looks like it. We're trying to find SPQ. So let's highlight that. SPQ. And we know, based on the notes earlier, that if the arc, a measure is given to you, that's the same as the central angle that's made by that arc. So this will be 86 degrees as well. If that arc for Q to R is 154, then this is also 154 degrees. All right. And then I need to figure out what these two values would be, and that would give me my, help me get my answer. This is 60 for arc SR, so I'll make that 60 as well. And as we said, all the way around is 360 degrees. So that's going to be equal to 154 plus 86 plus 60, and then plus, I'm just going to label these X, so that would be 2X because they are the same. All right, so getting all that together, 154 plus 86 plus 60 is going to be 300. Oh, I already had that one, sorry. So that's 360 equals 300 degrees plus my 2x. Move the 300 over and you get 60 degrees equals 2x. So x is equal to 30 degrees. Okay? Now, again, I'm trying to figure out, oh, I erased it, I apologize. I'm trying to figure out what SPQ is, right? That angle. So each of those little angles became 30 degrees. Here we go. So then I'm going to add up for the measure of angle SPQ. I'm going to add up 86 degrees plus 2 of those 30s, which is going to be 60. So the measure of angle SPQ is going to equal to 146 degrees. Okay, so that is it for finding the measure of angle SPQ. All right, let's keep going. We got 2 more left. So 7 says to solve for x. Again, if we find a diameter, I see 2 diameters, I'll assume that they are. So I see that this is 140 degrees. And remember we said if this arc here is given to you, that is going to be the same as this angle here. So I'm going to write in there 6x minus 8. All right, and if you notice, this diameter right here means that if I were to add 140 degrees plus 6 minus 8 degrees, I would equal 180 degrees, the measure of that line. All right, so I'm going to add like terms. That's going to be 140 minus 8 is 132. Move the 132 over, and you're going to get 48. So x is equal to 8. All right, it just says to solve for x, so we are finished. Okay, let's do one more, last one. Okay, find the measure of arc WV. So I'm trying to find the measure of this arc here. So essentially, if I can find the measure of this angle, then that is the measure of the arc. So either way, both options will work. Now, what I noticed first is that the 5x plus 10 has this little symbol here, and it's also in that same angle for v to the center to u. So I'm going to write 5x plus 10 is there as well. Now, what I'm hoping you notice is that these two, if I put this in here as 12x minus 2, right, for the fact that that's giving me the arc, which is the same as the central angle. So if I highlight this part of the circle, right, that angle, and then I highlight this part of the circle, that angle, you should notice that those are vertical angles. So they're going to be equal to each other. So I'm going to set up 12x minus 2 equals 5x plus 10 plus 5x plus 10. Or you could also write 5x plus 10 then times 2. All right, so go ahead and combine like terms over here to get 10x plus 20. I'm going to move the 10x to the other side with subtraction. 12x minus 10x gives me 2x. Move the minus 2 over with addition. That gives me 22. So x equals 11. Now we're not finished, right? With the number 7, it just said solve for x. But this one says we need to find the measure of arc WV. All right, so I know when I look here that the 5x plus 10s are going to be, if I were to look at, let me highlight just this diameter now, just this diameter, right, plus this here, 5x plus 10 plus 5x plus 10 plus that little question mark that I put is going to be equal to 180. So I'm going to plug in the x for 5x plus 10. That gives me 5 times 11, which is 55, plus 10 is 65. So that's 65 degrees plus 65 degrees plus that question mark has to be equal to 180. So 65 plus 65, that's going to be 130. And then move the 130 over with subtraction, and you get 50 degrees. So this became 50 degrees, and if that angle is 50 degrees, then the measure of arc, WB, is also 50 degrees. And that's it, guys. All right, so check out the homework. Come see us if you have any questions, but good luck.